Hey guys, it's Miss Oric. I'm going to be going over lesson 27 about comparing decimals. So we have 65 hundredths because there's 100 boxes here, and then 7 tenths because there's only 10 boxes here. But we can compare them because we have already learned how to convert to equal fractions. So whatever I do to the bottom, let's say I have 7 tenths, and I want to figure out what that is in hundredths. So I have to multiply by 10. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So this would be the same as 70 hundredths or 7 tenths. Okay? And then I could compare it to hundredths. So I did a couple problems with you guys to get you ready for the quiz for lesson 27. It says Kelly and Casey each buy equal sized bottles of water. They drink some of their water. And now Kelly has 5 tenths and Casey has 4 tenths. So I made a little chart. And you're just comparing the tenths because there's nothing to compare in hundredths. So 5 is obviously bigger than 4, so Kelly had more left. And then I went to page 563, and I looked at these problems. It says, look at the models on the previous page, write a fraction that's equivalent to 35 hundredths. So as I'm saying this number 35 hundredths, I should just know 35 over 100, and then 53 hundredths, because this is the hundredths place, so that's how I finish out saying it. 53 hundredths. I could also look at this picture and see that there's 100 boxes. And of those 100 boxes, there's 35. And then of these 100 boxes, there's 53 that are shaded. Okay, so which fraction's greater? Obviously, 53 hundredths is bigger than 35 hundredths, and that means Katrina has more. And you have to write the symbol in the statement that makes sense or makes it true. And so then it says, do the model and place value chart support your answer? And we would say, yes, the 3 tenths is less than 5 tenths, because I'm looking at this place value chart. I'm just looking at the tenths because tenths are more than hundredths. That's saying one little hundredths box is less than one big tenths box if we were to have it in a big box like this. Okay, explain how you can use fractions. So since we converted them into hundredths both, we just look at the numerator. So which one's bigger? You're just comparing the numerators in the fraction. Okay, number 2 on page 565, it says complete the place value chart to show 33 hundredths and 35 hundredths. So that means I'm just looking at the hundredths. So I see my ones, I both have 0, and my tenths are both 3. So then I have to go to the right and compare my hundredths. So which one's bigger, 5 hundredths or 3 hundredths? Obviously, it's asking us which one is less. So 3 is obviously less than 5. So we would say that that one is less. Number 4, write the symbol. So 85 hundredths or 82, 85 is more. 9 hundredths or 1 tenth, 10 is bigger than 9. Then we have 45 and 54 hundredths. 54 hundredths is obviously bigger. 1 in 1 tenth or 1 in 1 hundredth. We'd rather have 1 hundredth or 1 tenth. Obviously, the 1/10 is bigger, so we have the greater than symbol. And then 30 hundredths compared to 3 tenths. We could just multiply by 10 to get common denominators of 100. And then we have 30 hundredths and 30 hundredths, and that is equal. Okay. Number 8, we're looking at a number line. The rule of thumb you guys need to know, when we're looking at number lines, as you go right on our number line, the numbers get bigger. So it's asking us to say, explain why the value of point C on the number line is greater than point B. And since it's farther to the right on our number line, we know that it's greater than point B. So that's what this explanation was. Okay? And then we're just going to draw a number line for number 1 on page 573. We were comparing 3 tenths and 8 tenths. So I just started at 3 tenths and I went 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths, and then 8 tenths. And since it's farther to the right than point 3, I know that point 8 or 8 tenths is greater than 3 tenths. Number 4, you're going to see one like this on your quiz. So you have put a 3 in the hundredths place to change 5 tenths to 53 tenths, 53 hundredths. That still wouldn't work because we're saying that 43 hundredths is bigger than 53 hundredths. That still doesn't make sense. So A is not correct. Change the hundredths digit in 43 hundredths to a 0. So then we would have 5 tenths is less than 40. No, 5 is still bigger than 4, so that wouldn't work. And then C, put a 0 in the tenths place to change 5 tenths to 5 hundredths. So that would make sense. 5 hundredths compared to 43 hundredths. Yes, 43 is bigger than 5. So C is your correct answer. And then 6, you're just writing true or false. So 5 tenths is less than 6 tenths, and that is true. 25 hundredths is greater than 3 tenths, and that is false. 89 hundredths is greater than 8 tenths, and that is true. And 6 hundredths is equal to 6 tenths. No. One has a 0 in the tenths and one has a 6, so that's false. And then 4 tenths is less than 14. So if I look at just my tenths, I have a 4 and a 1, and that would be false. Okay, so this should help you with your quiz. I have a separate video explaining the quiz and the questions. So I hope this helps. Let me know if you want to schedule a separate Zoom if you want any more one-on-one help for this.